Adding the alginate powder to the rubber mixing bowl using the manufactured scoop, measure 3 scoops into the bowl. Using the manufactured measuring cup for the water with the graduated measurements, use 3 measurements of water to add to your 3 scoops of alginate. After your alginate powder and your water are added to the bowl, you can mix it by mixing it 2 different ways, by hand or by electric mixer, making sure that you have all of the powder mixed in with the water and there is no air bubbles in the mixture. Loading the tray of alginate into an upper impression, making sure that there are no voids in the alginate in the tray, making sure that it's very smooth so there would be no air bubbles, and making sure that you have the adequate amount of alginate in the tray so that it's not too excessive for the patient to have to hold in their mouth. The same with the upper as with the lower. You make sure you have all of the alginate filled in. You want to have the void where the tongue would be, measured out, but you do not want to have any air bubbles. You want to make sure that it's nice and firm in the tray and all of the excess is taken out so that it is not uncomfortable for your patient. This is taking the impression on the lower. You want to make sure that your patient is comfortable with their head rested back on the chair and their chin up. You would make sure that the patient pushes their tongue to the roof of their mouth and putting the tray in their mouth kind of at an angle, and you would set. It takes approximately 1 to 1.5 minutes to set. Again, this is another picture of a lower impression, making sure that the tongue is out of the way, the lip is out of the way, and you just wait for the alginate to continue setting, approximately 1 to 1.5 minutes. This is also the impression of a lower, or a picture of the lower impression, making sure that you do have some sort of device that the patient can slobber into, or if they do have a hard time with the impression and they do vomit, that there is something for it to be caught in. Different offices use different things. At this office that I was working at this day, we just use a Dixie cup for them to slobber into. But again, making sure that you notice that the tongue's out of the way and the lip is out of the way and the patient is comfortable. Taking the upper impression is a little bit different. Obviously, you can see you need to be behind your patient, makes it a little bit easier. You want their head to be a little bit more tipped forward. And I'm not sure if you can see 100% in this photograph, but you should put the impression tray in at a very drastic angle, making sure that both sides of it are clearing the sides of the lips. After you have the impression in place, you need to make sure that your patient also has something to catch any kind of slobber or vomit that might come out of their mouth underneath their chin. Have them relaxed, make sure that the lip is out of the way, and this will also take approximately 1 to 1.5 minutes to set. Again, this is another picture of the upper impression, making sure that your fingers are out of the way so they do not interfere with the impression, but also making sure that you have it firmly placed in the patient's mouth, making sure that your patient is very comfortable and that their lips are out of the way. This is one more picture of the upper impression also. Again, making sure that your patient is comfortable, the cup is in the right place, your fingers are in the right place, and that the impression is setting up properly. This is just a picture after your impression has been taken. You can notice that you see all of the teeth. You can get a good margin. You get all the way to the back tooth, and make sure that all of the teeth, there are no air bubbles visible. After the impression is completely taken, to store the impression before you pour it up in the plaster, you need to wrap it in a damp paper towel to keep it moist so that the alginate does not break away from the impression tray or distort. Again, this is just one more picture of the impression wrapped in a paper towel. It can set like that for quite some time, an hour to an hour and a half. If you're busy with another patient and you can't get to it, you can wrap it in that paper towel to keep that impression moist so that it does not distort.